All right, g'day, welcome. We're at the big top at the big tent. We're at the Angus Barrett workshop. I'm Angus Barrett, and Kirsty's asked me to do a short video on the Weekender. We're doing a run of Weekender gear bags here. This is the Weekender. It's a lovely little small bag made for a weekend away. For those of us who like to chuck stuff in the bag and send it to work, or put it on the back of a ute, or put it in a car, or on an aeroplane, or in carry-on. This bag's made to do all of that over and over and over again. The bag's made up of lots of different parts, but two leathers and one canvas, one zipper. It's a YKK zipper, very good zipper. It's the zipper part, the zipper panel leather is made from a chromium tanned leather. It's a very strong, it's a little bit greasy leather. It's soft, it's durable, it's pliable. Then that's the zipper panel, and then the main parts of the bag, or the structural leather of the bag, the handles and the handle parts. It's made of this magnificent leather, and this is something that I actually would really like to show. These are beautiful double butts. This is very heavy flap leather. I'll try and demonstrate the weight of the leather here. If you could feel it, you'd really get to experience it. It's these double butts are just magnificent. If you can smell it, you can explain it a little bit. It's full of bark and earthiness, and it's got a really solid feel. But when I smell it, and feel it, it sort of tells me what it is, and it's just very, very good leather. I've been doing leather work for a long time. I've been in business for 20 plus years. I've been buying leather for that long, and this would be some of the best I've ever had. I do say that occasionally, but and the leather we get is very, very good. It's not easy to get it. Well, it's easy to get. You just got to be patient, and you got to pay the bill. But this is very, very good leather, and this leather here goes into. We use it to make all the parts. So I'm actually going to butcher these beautiful double butts that these guys at the tannery go to such an extraordinary amount to make. Such an extraordinary effort to make. But I'm going to cut them all down into parts, because the parts I want to be good as well. So that's a handle which has come out of there, so I'm going to cut all those up into these parts. There's the handle patches, so there's 4 handle patches for each bag. There's a handle clasp, there's a logo part, and zipper stops, 2 zipper stops. So that the handle clasp, it'll go on there. This leather will split down. The leather's really heavy at the moment. It's sort of coming in, that's at 5.2 there. It's that'll get split down for the handle clasp. It's just too bulky at the moment to fold around there. The handle patches will get down split a little bit, not much at all, because we require the strength for them, and we also want the depth in them so that we can jam the thread in there. This handle clasp is sewn on with a double stitch, 2 rows of stitching, and then the handle goes into it. I'll tell you about the handle in a second, and then that's riveted on. So we double stitch the patch on, and then we work that down into there, and then we drive the rivets through the both. So it's sewn on, and then the rivets are going through and riveting it, the handle to the handle clasp and the canvas as well. The handle, why it's got a split in the middle like this, is because we roll it, and this is really cool. A little bit challenging to do, but we run a swivel knife down one side and back up, and then we'll roll it over, and we'll go down one side and back up on the other side. So we're cutting a groove, and this is where the density of the leather is important, and the thickness of the leather. Probably more so the density, because the density is the strength of the leather, and when you look at the side of the leather there, you can see all the fibres and how close they are together and how short they are. They're not big, long, stringy fibres. They're nice little tight fibres, and that's really important. That's what makes the product go so long and go so well and last so well, and be able to go to work or be able to go through all these different environments without just cracking and failing and falling apart. I mean, this is as far as I'm concerned, this is, in my 20 years of experience, this is some of the best leather I've ever seen or used. It's a specific leather that we have tanned for us. It's a flap leather, but it's very heavy and dense, and it's awkward to carry because it wants to collapse all the time. When I say collapse, it just wants to lay over you. So it's not rigid and hard like a harness leather or a chrome leather, a heavy chrome, or a bridle leather or skirting leather. And it doesn't have a finish on it. The finish is in the leather, so it's puffed full of paraffins, and well, it's got the tannings is the first part of it, but then when they finish it off, they don't put a finish on top of the leather. The dye is dyed through in the pits that it's dyed and tanned in, and it's finished with these fats and paraffins, and they're all waxed and curried into the leather, and that's how you get that beautiful body in it. Anyway, when I cut that little trench, imagine it as a little trench, I'm going to cut a little groove all down one side. I can cut it a good 1.5 2 millimeters in and up and down and on both sides, and then we'll get it on the sewing machine and we'll sew in the track, and we'll also line it up very, very precisely. And it's not easy to do, but you can do it. Tony does a very good job of it here, so I set her up and show her how to do it. I'm good for a couple and then I get distracted, and Tony seems to be able to manage to sit there and go consistently and get it in there. But we'll sew the top thread in and the bottom thread into the actual groove, and the tension, we'll wind the tension right up and use a heavy thread so that we can put a lot of load on that thread and really pull those threads up tight, and that'll sink it into the groove. And then once the handles are sewn, they'll be sewn flat, we'll pull them out and we'll rub the leather down and fold all the leather back over the top of the thread, and then we'll edge it, and then we'll slick it and finish the handle. And it's sort of what we do to make the handle so well. These are the zipper stops. They're very heavy now. It's beautiful leather, you can just feel it in your fingers. This is a zipper stop here, or a zipper tab. That's the old way we used to do it. This is an old bag. And the zipper stop on this bag is the brass clip that clips onto the zipper. They're good, don't get me wrong, they're YKK, so they're the best I can get. But now we make this zipper stop with this shape, and it will actually go into that seam. We will sew the bag on and sew this bottom part on, and it gets 2 rows of stitching, one across the bottom folded over and another one across the top, and this zipper stop will be in there, and then it folds over and comes down there, and so your leather crashes into it, and the rivets we put a rivet through it again. So you've got to break 2 rows of stitching and bust open a zipper, and then that's what the zipper crashes into with all the years of up and down and using it. So they're the handle patches, the logos on that side. This bag's got a Custer embroidery on it. That's the leather. The leather's really important. I mean, the raw materials to me are everything in a product. It's everything that we make here. Everything has a purpose. We use the right leather, and then we sew it the right way. These are double sewn, double stitched on. The handles are double sewn in a sunken groove. Extraordinary amount of effort. This is the canvas. We're making 2 canvas. What are we doing? We're doing 4 different types of bags here. And I didn't bring the zipper to show you the lovely copper zipper that we have. But we're doing a navy and a chocolate, and a navy and a tan. There's the chocolate one. Navy and a chocolate, a navy and a tan. And this is a ripstop canvas. It's made in Melbourne. My mate Tony does a very good job down there, and if you make it worth his while, you can get him to do you a very custom colour, and he's made this navy for us. I absolutely love the navy. It's the same navy as our most popular saddle pad canvas, same colour, different canvas, and Tony's nice enough to go to the effort to make this canvas for me. He always makes sure it's worth his while, so we've got plenty of it. We get a fair bit to get it done. And the canvas itself is a ripstop. This is a very heavy truck tart material. When you get your bag, it might feel a little bit heavy and a little bit coarse, but you give it some work, and over the years this all comes to life and all the fibres loosen up. But it's really important that you start with that good raw material, even if it's a bit heavy on the first day when you get it out of the post. it's what it's going to be in 5 and 6 and 8 years time, or 10 years time, or 15 years time. Who cares? However long it goes for. That's what matters. And this canvas, if you were to truck very valuable products from Melbourne to Darwin through all different temperatures and seasons, this is the canvas that you'd use to cover your load. And you're running Melbourne to Darwin day in, day out, week in, week out sort of thing. Yeah, that's the canvas. Now, when we sew the canvas together, we don't just sew 2 bits of canvas together like this, because you've only got, they're only a mil or 1.5, 1.25 I think they are each. That's okay, that's good, makes a good bag. But what I do is we make a leather piping, and to make the leather piping we use the same leather from our sides. So these are all the sides that I've got laid out here. I'm about to put them on the water jet and cut them up. This is the chromium leather. It is finished. It's a lovely, flexible, soft leather. This is beautiful leather. It makes you want to sort of cuddle it, I guess. I like the leather. I've got a bit of thin leather. It's the 2 colours. The chocolate's very dark. The tan's a lovely oaky colour. We'll cut our 4 zipper panels if we can get 4. These sides aren't as big as what I'd like them. I'd like all the cattle to be bigger, and if you own cattle, please don't put a brand on it. It really makes it difficult for a bloke who wants to make something out of a piece of leather. Because if it's got a brand in there, or a cut or a nick, like I just can't use it. I don't use it. Not in these bags. You can't go to this level to make a bag and then not. I just cut a corner and have a little hole somewhere. So when I cut these zipper panels out, I will get left with the top part, because I can't get panels out of there, and I'll cut them all down into these strips. Now the detail that goes into this is, for me, it's really, really important. The thickness that we get these leathers. This is a different colour, but I'm just using it to show the example. So this is cut into strips, which is this wide, and then they're split down to a right thickness, and then we run them through we make piping, and so we glue them and fold them, and that's how we make the piping. And then when I get the piping, here's a piece that's already made. So it's folded over, it's got glue, it's got a little nick in the back so that it can flex around the corners. Now this piping might look decorative, but I can assure you not all that decorative, but it's got a purpose, and that's what we're about here in Angus Barrett, is about making stuff with a purpose. It's designed to work, and it's made to last. So once that piping's made, it's made with a hot glue inside it, and then I'll try and show you how I'll do it. I'll put the piping in here in between the 2 layers of canvas, and we'll sew the bag, and we'll sew it twice. It's another little thing that we do. So we don't just make you 1 bag, we make you 2, or we sew it twice. So I'll sew it in there, and then when we sew it inside out, and when we turn that bag out, you'll end up with the piping, and it's a lovely little decorative bead, and that's why we use, it's not why we use the leather, but it adds a feature. But what it's really there for, and this is the point that I'm trying to get across in code, is that I add the density of the leather, which is why I split it to the specific thickness, get it to a right thickness, and the thickness is determined by the density of the leather. So if it's not a very dense leather, I've got to go thicker, and if it is a dense leather, I can go a little bit thinner. But what I'm doing is I'm creating a filler. So when I sew these 2 bits of canvas, I can put more tension on my sewing machines and more load on my threads, and you've got to use a matching thread that can take the load. So we use a very good thread, and I'll really pull the tension up into those threads, and that helps, that filler in the middle helps compact. So you're compressing the bit in the middle, which makes your threads hold tighter, which means nothing can get under your threads can't loosen, nothing can get inside. What we do is, when we've gone all this effort to make the bag, and this started, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, we got to the end of sewing around, and I was like, mate, just sew around that bag again. Like it's made so well, and it's got all these beautiful materials on it. The last thing we want is 1 stitch to break. So we sew all the way around the bag in the first stitch, and that's the most accurate stitch. That's the one that's required to get the bag to sit level. And then before we pull it out of the machine, we just jump over, or we'll do them all one stitch and then put them back on, and we'll sew all the way around the bag again. It's really not that much more effort. It takes more time, but that's life. You got a bit of time. And by doing that, we ensure that the bag's sewn together, and all these raw materials and all the effort to get all that done is going to stay together and last someone a very long time and be a bag. That doesn't work. I think that's all, guys. That's the weekender. Small little weekender bag, designed to work, made to last. Take a load, send it to work. Yeah, stay cool.